Tedious and boring. These two words are how I would describe playing a lot of horror games on Roblox right now, and can pretty much be used to describe most horror games on the platform for the past few years, but there have been great horror games that have come out as well. One such game is Far From Land, developed by Dead Fish Games. This game was released on February 11, 2024, and on the surface, it seems like another FNAF fan game on Roblox. The director of Dead Fish Games, Zakify, actually made two FNAF fan games on Roblox before Far From Land, Five Nights at Marcus 1 and its sequel, and yet Far From Land does something that a lot of horror games on Roblox don't do, and that's having an actual good story, fun gameplay, and impressive graphics. It also doesn't feature cash grab monetization, unlike certain games. In this video, we'll analyze why Far From Land is able to be memorable and stand out within Roblox horror with its creativity. Most horror games on Roblox have some story attached to them, but it's never really important to the game itself. I can't tell you the amount of times the story of a horror game is told by notes that you can find that are like 5 paragraphs long and are scattered around the map. Far From Land, however, actually does tell a coherent story. A story about a man seeking closure after his brother's mysterious death. The game starts off with what looks like a VHS tape of a company called Celadon. We learn that they're a massive logistics corporation with over 280 ships. The tape doesn't say anything else after that, and it ends. Our perspective switches from the tape to the inside of a dark room. We're greeted by a man named the Bishop over the radio, where we find out our name is Malcolm.
Alright, Malcolm, this week will be a bit different. Just get the ship running and I'll run you down the details.
The lights kick in and the shutters in front of us open as we get to see that we're on board a cargo ship called the CL Corral. Already, the amazing atmosphere of this game is in full force. The art direction of this game is incredible. Everything in the game has this old, decaying, and rusty aesthetic. The colors of the game never stray away from this almost rust and dull color. In fact, the only time this color of the game is broken is during the climax, which we'll get into later. The visuals of this game are something you don't often see in a Roblox game. Most games will have a bunch of free assets from the toolbox in Roblox Studio, and the main problem with this is that these horror games will use assets that are made from completely different people, and as a result will have a different visual style. Sometimes a section in a Roblox horror game will have realistic assets, and sometimes another section will have more blocky assets. Worst of all is when in a game, both of these styles are on full display and everything looks out of place. But in Far From Land, there's never a spot where something looks like it doesn't belong there. Far From Land knows exactly what it's trying to go for, and it does it well. The dialogue with Bishop continues with him telling us that we're the captain of the ship as well as the only person on the ship during the voyages, and that we've got a special delivery. The delivery in question being robots that are to be transported to an unnamed company that has bought them. It's here when we're introduced to the core gameplay. One of the displays on the ship dashboard is a motion detector that shows you where the robots are moving in your ship. The gameplay is very much inspired by FNAF, but with immediate differences about the formula. Instead of having the player wait until 6 AM to win the game, the player has to actively steer the cargo ship a certain amount of distance. This distance will increase after every voyage you beat. To steer the ship, you have to hover your cursor over the steering wheel to actually move the ship. Not only that, but as you steer the ship, you have to dodge oncoming icebergs. You have a stat called Ship Integrity. If you hit one of these icebergs, you completely lose ship integrity, and you'll have to repair the ship by going into the maintenance room. Otherwise, you won't be able to move the ship to win. You also lose ship integrity by just moving the ship, but it's at a steady rate rather than losing it altogether. These mechanics play so well with the horror elements of this game. Far From Land constantly builds horror just off of the motion detector mixed with the steering of the ship. To steer the ship, you must turn your back to the robots with only the motion detector to help you. The motion detector shows you the robots move closer and closer to you, building that tension when you inevitably have to confront them. The conversation with Bishop continues as we learn that the ship we're on, the CL Peril, is old and is soon to be decommissioned, but is being used for this mission because it was the only ship available. We're told that we also have to check the state of the ship with a checklist after every voyage to make sure that the ship is in working order. Bishop then says he'll leave us alone for now as the game fully begins. On this first voyage, you'll end up going up against a single robot called Shut. You'll see what the other robots look like when we get to them, but they all have this ruined look to them, like they were rebuilt using parts from a dumpster, and it looks great. They all look like they've come from the deepest parts of the rotting ship to come kill you. Shut will show up in the hallway right behind you, and like the other animatronics, you'll be able to anticipate when he's going to attack you by looking at the motion detector. In order to survive an encounter with Shut, you'll need to hold your breath for about 8 seconds. Afterwards, he'll go back into the back of the ship, where eventually he'll come back to you again. After finishing the first voyage, you end up doing what Bishop told us to do, which is checking the state of the ship. After you beat every voyage, there is a gameplay break where the game turns into a sort of point and click game where you're now moving through the ship to complete a safety checklist. The gameplay here is much simpler and straightforward than the voyages. All you have to do is move through the ship in complete darkness with a flashlight and do what the safety checklist says. I love that the game incorporates the environment into the gameplay. The developers could have had the game set on an old ship at sea just to be scary. Tons of developers have their games set in a scary location for the sake of being scary, but they never tried to do anything with it. Deadfish Games actually takes advantage of the game's location, and it's moments like these that make the game feel immersive. It's here where we end up running into the robot called Manta. As you're doing the checklist, every time you move into a new room, you've got to listen for breathing before you turn on your flashlight. If you hear breathing, then you need to hold your breath, otherwise you'll die to Manta.
Who's that guy? Like, he was singing it all.
Oh shit, I fucked up.
This part of the game is simple, and it's on purpose. It's so that you can sort of take it easy in between nights and keep you engaged in a meaningful way. It's here we can find an audio tape. There's 4 in total, but I think this one in particular is the most special since it reveals something important to our character.
Is transferred to a ship called Morale. I don't know why they're doing this only a few days after the warehouse reopened, and we are all still pretty shaken by what happened with that security guard. I just feel that transferring us to a new workplace so soon could have consequences on our mental state. Apparently the captain of the ship we're going to be working on is the brother of that security guard.
After finishing this section of the game, you end up moving on to the second voyage. We get another conversation with Bishop as the voyage starts, where he tells us that more security measures have been added to the ship, which comes in the form of a shower handle at the back hall for the left door with the purpose of releasing water to short circuit the robots so that you don't get ripped to shreds. That's about everything Bishop tells you for this voyage. This shower security measure is used against the robot called Marcus. Marcus will appear in the back hall at the left door where the shower handle is. You have to activate the shower for about 2 seconds, after which he'll run away. Just like with Shut, you'll know he's there with the motion detector. While you're activating the shower, the amount of water you have will go down, and you'll be able to replenish the water you have by activating the water pump. You'll be able to tell how much water you have by looking down at the right side of the dashboard with your water being represented as a percentage. As time goes on, the water integrity slowly goes down. Of course, it decreases faster by replenishing the amount of water you have with the water pump. Once your water integrity hits 0, you will no longer be able to refill the water levels, but just like with the ship integrity, it can be repaired within the maintenance room. After beating the second voyage, we go back to doing the checklist, which consists of the same tasks you were doing the first time you were doing the checklist. Nothing really new happens, you're still dealing with Manta, and once you're finished with the checklist, the third voyage begins. Like the previous two voyages, we'll get to talk to Bishop. He tells us that after we're finished with this voyage, we'll now have to inspect the lower deck instead of the upper deck, and for some reason the crew members don't want to go down to the lower deck. During the third voyage, we're introduced to the new robot trying to kill you, Grayling. Grayling will make his way to the vent in the maintenance room, where all you've got to do is shine your light on him for about 2 seconds, then he goes away. After beating the voyage, we then go into the lower deck of the ship via an elevator. Before you can even step a foot outside of the elevator, you instantly get to see what you're going up against.
The fuck is that? See that shit?
This robot's name is Marlin. In this section of the game, you're equipped with a wrench and are tasked with fixing pipes. On the bottom right, you've got a stamina bar. Marlin will randomly drop in front of you where you've got to smack the hell out of him, which takes a little bit of your stamina bar. Your stamina bar is mainly consumed by you fixing things, and you'll never really die to the robots down here. I have to compliment the visual design of the lower deck. The narrow hallways you're going through makes you feel cramped and claustrophobic, and the sound design of the game is perfect during this section. The pipes around you release steam every now and then. You can hear the water around you since you're at the lower deck of the ship. You've also got pipes that are leaking water, and all of these details just really bring this section to life. After doing the checklist, you once again man the ship for the fourth voyage, where things start to take a turn. The voyage starts with Bishop telling us that the company that bought the robots is named That company, Sonarix. But before he can say anything else, he gets interrupted by radio interference. When the radio returns, we hear a different voice, and a man named Mason starts talking to us. He says he's found something, a creature that's been hiding on the ship, and as he describes,
It's morphed. It's taller. Made of human remains. It all makes sense now.
he reveals that this creature is what has been controlling the other robots, and he calls it the Kraken. He ends the conversation by telling us that we have to destroy the ship before it's too late. On this night, you'll have to deal with 2 extra robots called Growler and Scrap. Scrap will show up in the maintenance room, and unlike the other robots, you don't get to see his movement on the motion detector. Scrap will randomly show up in the maintenance room when you enter it, and you have to quickly leave it, and he should be gone the next time you go back into the maintenance room. Then you have the Growler. You can see him when you're steering the ship. This robot will start off at the end of the deck of the ship, but will make his way towards you. As he's getting closer to you, by using the ship's horn, you can keep him away. The more you use the horn, the more integrity of the horn you will lose. Once your horn integrity hits 0, you'll have to repair it in the maintenance room. After finishing the 4th voyage, you're back in the lower deck, but this time, instead of Bishop talking to you, it's Mason.
I should have told you, Malcolm. I think it knows our plan. It's been looking for me. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm gonna go disable the lockdown. I'm gonna see it myself. This might be the last.
Unfortunately for Mason, this is the last time we hear from him. As you're finishing your checklist, you can hear something roar with someone screaming right after, and then a loud bang, followed by silence. The 5th voyage starts with Bishop once again talking to us. He says that we need to check the middle deck after this shift, as some of the crew have been reporting a horrible smell coming from the inside of the storage rooms. The tension the game builds leading up to this moment is palpable. The 5th night in games like this are supposed to feel like the big finale. But here in this moment, it feels like the calm before the storm, which is insane work from Dead Fish Games. Every voyage has always brought a new enemy that you have to account for, but the 5th voyage brings nothing but dread, because after this night, you're going to have to see what has been hiding on board the CL Peral this entire time. Once the voyage is completed, a cutscene plays. The Kraken explains that it knows everything about us. It knows our name, it knows we're here for revenge, because as it turns out, this thing was the one to kill our brother. The Kraken gives Malcolm a chance to never come back, and to never mention what happened, or else. As you can probably guess, Malcolm comes back for one final voyage.
Malcolm, what are you doing? You're making a big mistake. Fine, listen. The news is out. One of the crew members got killed in the storage room. We don't know who did it, but whatever you're doing, please stop. Get out of that ship. Please.
During this night in particular, there is only one threat you have to worry about, and that's the Kraken. The Kraken is easily the most jarring, intimidating, and threatening robot just by looks alone. A lot of the robots have similarities about them. They've got the same color scheme with the same scrapyard design, but the Kraken is almost completely unique to them. He has the same decayed style to him, but he looks almost shiny. That's when you see that he's covered in human organs. He's got a humanoid face with teeth. He's so tall that he has to hunch over and by proxy bringing his face closer to yours. From the mention of him in the 4th voyage, you're trying to imagine what the Kraken looks like. And when you finally get his reveal, he just slowly comes into the frame. It's so beautiful. The Kraken will try to kill you by taking on the role of all of the other robots. He'll appear in the shower, the vent in the maintenance room, in the hallway behind you. He'll also use 2 of the other robots, which are Deteriorated Scrap and Deteriorated Growler. As the name implies, they operate the same way as their regular counterparts, with little to no differences. Oh my god! The Kraken does have some differences about him. For example, during the vent section, when you're shining the light on him, you actually have to keep your light on his face, and he'll try to throw you off by moving his head around.
What? Oh hell no. Oh hell no. Oh! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh.
Same thing when he shows up in the hallway. He'll move his head around and you must move your cursor to either the left, middle, or right side of the screen. He's also much quicker to approach you. At this point in the game, it is a test of all of your skills. It makes the 5th voyage feel more like a practice run that was trying to prepare you for the Kraken. After beating the final voyage, a cutscene plays where we get to see a giant iceberg coming to view in front of us, and without trying to move out of the way, Malcolm lets the ship crash.
I'm convinced that machines can and will think. I don't mean that machines will behave like men. I don't think for a very long time we're going to have a difficult problem distinguishing a man from a robot. But I think the computers will be doing the things that men do when we say they're thinking. I'm convinced that machines can and will think in our life.
What's not to love about this story? It has everything you need to consider this a great story. It has the plot, it has the characters, it has the villain, it pulls on the heartstrings, it even has the Freytag's pyramid with the exposition, rising action, and the climax. You start off with knowing nothing about Malcolm and wanting to just survive, but by the end you don't just want Malcolm to survive, but to also triumph against this horror. Throughout the story, we've never been in control of Malcolm's actions. We're the ones that help him get to the end, but he's the one who chooses to man the ship voyage after voyage. And he was the one who decided to face the Kraken when he could have just listened to it and not come back. But he doesn't, because he wanted to do it for his brother. And all of this characterization is done with zero spoken dialogue from him. There's also one last thing I should mention about this game, which is that Far From Land isn't actually a completely true, self-contained story. It's actually the end of a trilogy. If you remember what I said in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that the director of Dead Fish Games, Zakify, worked on two previous games called Five Nights at Marcus 1 and 2. Well, Far From Land picks up where those games left off. In fact, before its release, Far From Land was advertised as Five Nights at Marcus 3 before it was changed to Far From Land. The only reason I can think of this change in the naming scheme is that it kind of makes the game more marketable, since the name Five Nights at Marcus 3 might discourage some people from playing the game, since it would make people think that they need to play the first two games to understand this one. I also didn't end up playing those two games and instead watched walkthroughs of those games, and I wanted to mainly focus on talking about this specific game. And I think that goes to show how well Dead Fish Games is able to make this story not seem confusing, but still provide a satisfying ending. What makes this game's gameplay incredible is that in order to win, you have to sort through all of these problems presented in front of you. You actually have to use your brain by paying attention to the motion detector and the integrity of your tools to figure out a plan. You have to balance out steering the ship, defending yourself from the robots, and fixing the ship's integrity all at the same time. You've also got to perfectly time when your ship's integrity hits 0 in conjunction with the integrity of the rest of your tools, so that that specific tool isn't needed to be used when a specific robot is attacking. You've got to make sure that you're not about to be attacked when going into the maintenance room to fix the integrity, and the night's length is dependent on how well you're able to spare time from all of that to man the ship. The game also makes great use of sound effects, and it actually makes you feel like the ship is on its last leg. The audio in most horror games on Roblox are usually way too loud or way too quiet. Some sounds are louder than others, some sounds are quieter than others, but in this game the audio is so well balanced. The idea of being on an old-ass ship in the middle of the sea at night is already an incredible setting for a scary game, but the design of the actual threats trying to kill you is fantastic. Of course, the pinnacle of this is the Kraken. What an incredible final boss. As of recording, Dead Fish Games has released a demo for their upcoming game, The Deep End. I haven't played it yet, but judging from the description of the game, it sounds pretty good. I highly recommend playing Far From Land for yourself. Anyways, that's about it. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.